Welcome to Midlife Mojo, the podcast all about how to be fit and flourish in your 50s, with me, your host with over 25 years of experience in the health, fitness, and wellness industry, Lisa DuPree. We'll be talking about all the things that support living life to the fullest. Let's dive in. Hello. Today I have a special guest with me, Lori LeGault. Lori has definitely got her midlife mojo going on with a successful career and thriving family. Professionally, Lori uses her Bachelor of Science degree in health promotion and community health education to help others get and stay healthy. Having worked for 20 years in corporate fitness and wellness at companies such as Hewlett-Packard, Progressive Insurance, and Lockheed Martin. Currently, she works remotely as a health coach at a university supporting students in medical school. Personally, Lori is happily married with 2 teenage children, and in her free time, she is an avid mountain biker, yogi, hiker, skier, and also enjoys jewelry metalsmithing. Welcome, Lori. So glad to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. So let's learn a little bit more about you. You've got a lot going on. You've got a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak. So what would you kind of describe like a typical day or week in the life of Lori looking like?
Well, so interestingly, before the pandemic, I should say, life was so different. And the fact that now I work virtually 100% of the time. It's funny how, I used to get up and get ready to go somewhere. Now I just get ready to go upstairs to my office. And so I have a little bit more time, which is wonderful. And so a typical morning in my life is during a weekday that I would wake up early. I've always been an early riser ever since I was very young. And in fact, I joke with my friends, I was never the teenager that woke up late ever. And in fact, when they would have sleepovers when I was growing up, because everybody else went to bed so late and stayed up so late, I usually didn't sleep over at people's houses. I just didn't like that. I would find myself, awake for hours before them. So it's kind of uncomfortable. And this is before cell phones. So then what did you do with your time, back in those days? So I've just always been an early riser. So I usually get up and have a little coffee with my husband because he goes off to work very early. And then I usually stretch out. So, in my midlife right now, I do wake up with a little bit of aches and pains in the morning. And so I use one of those foam rollers on my yoga mat and I roll uncomfortably on that thing and take deep breaths and go, this is so painful, but if I don't do it, it will be more painful. And so that's kind of my mantra every morning as I roll out my hips and my back and everything like that. And I do always feel so much better when I do. So it's a part of my routine every day now. And then I usually get ready to go to work. I call it the kitchen shuffle in the morning too, because we have a kind of a small farmhouse and our kitchen is a very traditional farmhouse kitchen, just like a square. And with seemingly 4 adults in the house, everybody getting ready to go do whatever they're doing for the day. It's hilarious. We're like one of those actual kitchens where people are like, door, we kind of do this shuffle, all 4 of us. Everyone's making their lunches, getting their snacks, making breakfast. And we kind of know to like turn backwards so we don't run into each other. And even the dog sits in the middle of the kitchen. A lot of times we're like walking over him. It's just hilarious. It's actually one of those things I think, man, someday when my kids are gone, I'm going to miss this craziness, and then everybody goes off for their day to whatever they're doing. And I head upstairs and I work. And then during the latter part of the day, I usually try and get in a bike ride or a yoga class, or sometimes that comes in the morning too, if I can swing it. But lately it's been evenings. And I live in an area where we have a lot of trails, and it's the whole reason I moved to this area, my husband and I, because of their mountain biking trails here. And so you can go right at the door. You don't have to drive anywhere. You just go out the door and mountain bike. And I live in a huge mountain biking community. And so I see lots of people I know on the trails. And so that's kind of how I usually end my day. Unless I go to a yoga class, then I go to the neighboring town to do that. And then evening, we most nights have family dinner. So that's a typical day in my life.
That's quite a bit you've got packed into a day. So I love the getting up and doing something for yourself. That's so critical, I think. Especially as we do get older, I notice like just much like you that when I exercise, I'm sore and achy, but when I don't exercise, I'm more sore and achy. So like,
yeah, it's like a different kind of, it's like, which one do you want?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So doing that foam rolling, kind of releasing any of that tension, soreness, like that myofascial release is fantastic. And then having everybody, I just I'm seeing kind of a dance, a well orchestrated kind of dance in the morning. So everybody is going about getting ready for their day. So super cool. Getting in exercise. Yeah. So lots going on.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely one of those parents that wants my kids to be really self-sufficient. Like one of my big goals is that they leave our house not depending on somebody to, make them food, and also not depending on having to buy food out. And so as they've become old enough, since they were real little, probably like 10, 11, I was like, I think you can make your own lunch and snacks now, but I oversee it as they're doing it. Oh, you might want to add this, you might want to add that. You need a little protein, all you've got is carbs kind of thing, not overdoing it in that department, but just a little bit so they understand, what's important to kind of have a well-rounded meal and what can keep you energized through your day, depending on what's going on. And so now that they're a little older, they can handle it for the most part, but we all take food most of the time. We try not to purchase too much out. It's very expensive.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're really setting the tone and being a wonderful role model for health and wellness and taking care of your well-being by setting your children up for success.
Certainly try.
Yeah, I think that is so important too. My daughter is 20, so she's in college. She's been in college a couple of years, and I feel like I started cooking with her and helping her learn how to prepare meals and things like that when she was really young. I don't know if you've ever watched the cooking show Chopped, where they have that basket of random things, and then they have to make some sort of food out of it, a meal out of it. So she really loved that show. So that's how we kind of started that, is like, so we would just make these random chopped baskets.
Yeah.
Like
no, that's
food.
really good.
Yeah. So I'm happy to say though, now that she is out and in her own apartment, that she's actually able to do that. So that is one of the biggest things I've found. It's really satisfying as a parent to be able to like, oh, my child they can adult when they get to that spot. So
yes,
that is going to be, I can see that in your future.
Yes, I definitely can see it too. It's definitely been, evident that they're going to be good to go there. So I feel like this is kind of the first year where it's been solid in that department. And I'm like, yes.
That's so awesome. So for you, kind of at this stage of midlife, what is really important to you about being healthy and active?
So interestingly, I did not grow up athletic at all. I grew up in Arizona, and I was a very lethargic and low energy kid. I don't know why, but my suspicion is that I've never been good with heat. And even, as an adult, heat is really difficult for me. Like the summertime is kind of not my time of the year, whereas everyone else I know seems to love summer, but it really drains my energy. And so growing up in Arizona, I feel like that's one of the things that potentially was why I wasn't super athletic. But as I got older, I would say around 17, I started to discover going to a gym and wanting to exercise, mostly because this is in the 90s and this is when body, stuff starts. Before I was 17, certainly that started, but I started to mostly, at that point in my life, I wasn't trying to be healthy. I was trying to look good, a teenager trying to look good. And so I was in the gyms a lot, not really outside much again, because it was so hot. But as I got even a little older in college, that even ramped up more. And I also started to teach step aerobics. That was the beginning of the step aerobics craze. And I got really into that. So I started to teach step aerobics in college and then decided I really liked health and fitness so much. I wanted to turn that into my career. And so, it became a part of me. I will also say my mother was very into being active. So she did a good job of teaching me that was an important part of life. And so, I taught lots of fitness classes and was in that health and fitness world. But as I've gotten to my midlife, the thing that was the most interesting to me is I didn't know that it could get better. Like I thought that probably my 20s and 30s was going to be the height of my athletic abilities. And I started mountain biking in my 20s. And I cannot believe that in my 40s, I am highly skilled more with my mountain biking. And, I feel like you figure yourself out so much better. You know how you operate, you know your limits, you know what food drives you. And so I'm not competitive. So I've never wanted to be competitive with any sports, but I guess my only competitiveness is keeping myself healthy and fit, but more so I just enjoy it. I just love mountain biking. I love going hiking. I love going to yoga. I think number one for me is having fun because the outlet that exercising gives me makes me love life so much. So that's kind of number one. And then number two would be the fact that I just want to have a good quality of life going into getting older. I also want to stay. I feel like if you stay fit, then it's not as hard to stay fit. Once you kind of go down, it's harder. And I'm looking at menopause coming up soon. And all that I know about it so far is, again, you kind of want to stay fit going into menopause. It's a little bit, easier to manage from what I understand. Not there quite yet, but I'm very close. So I also want to show my kids how to stay healthy throughout their life and how you mix it into your busy day, especially women. I feel like we used to be taught that if you were taking care of yourself in that way, that it was very selfish. So I really want to show my daughter that it's absolutely necessary to take care of yourself. It's not just it must be nice to take care of yourself and to have that time. No, you make the time because it's really important. So, and show my son that too, not just my daughter, but typically it was women who were more like felt guilty about taking that time for themselves. So there's a lot of reasons.
That is a lot of reasons. So, but not only for yourself and kind of as you're aging, you're being a role model to your children, and you're doing things that you have found to be fun. So that's where it's like, I think that's some of the secret sauce when it comes to exercising and continuing and making it a consistent practice is find something that you enjoy doing. And it's not, like for me, like I don't enjoy being on the treadmill, but I enjoy being outside. So I can jog outside, but the treadmill is like, I'm doing the same basic motion, physical activity, but it's like, oh, this is not the same. So I love that you have so many varieties of things that you've been able to incorporate as well.
Yeah. Yeah. When I see people who are a lot older than me, I'm always amazed. You can really tell when they've taken good care of themselves. And I'm not saying that that's across the board. I mean, people sometimes have issues that have happened to them that were not in their control at all. But when you see someone who's maintained that fitness throughout their life, they definitely seem to age better, so that's a good role model for me when I see that.
Yes, absolutely. So kind of those things that we tend to run up against as we're aging, just physiologically, that age-related muscle loss, as well as kind of like balance issues, things like that. Just And energy. You have so much energy. So I'm thinking that, being active and having all these things that are really mentally engaging, but also physically engaging for you are adding to that, just that level of vibrancy and that energy that you are just embodying and showing up with.
Well, thank you. Yeah. It's funny that you say I have a lot of energy because I have a lot of energy in the first part of my day. I definitely wane the second part. I get like really low energy the second half of the day. And so I guess this is one thing that I didn't say about when I said what my days were like. I actually almost every day take a 15-minute power nap. So my grandmother told me a long time ago when I was, probably in high school, she gave me lots of words of wisdom. But one of the things she said was, every day, if you feel tired, lie down on a couch or a bed, put your feet up and take a power nap. Not that you're falling asleep, not that you're, if you take too long of a nap, it'll make you groggy, but just put your feet up and close your eyes. And I do that every day and it saves me because I do get low and I don't like that feeling, that low energy feeling. And so I feel bad for people who are at work at a place they can't do this, because I feel like 3 or 4 o'clock is where people start to walk out and get coffee and I'm like, there are actually some places I've worked at have like little napping rooms and the little timer and you can set it. And I think that's really valuable. I think that's sometimes all we need is just a little pick me up, little nap.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm a huge proponent of naps. Have been all my life, but I love just that 15-minute power nap. Even if you're not like, really going to sleep, you don't want to have that grogginess. You want to be re-energized. You want to kind of have that short rejuvenating time. So being able to just lay down and shut your eyes and kind of, relax for a few minutes is a fantastic idea.
Well, so many people that I tell that I do this, they go, "Oh, I can't do that." And I'm like, you probably aren't doing it right. I'm not trying to be judgy, but I was like, when you lay down, you set your timer on your phone for 15 minutes and you don't look at any social media. You don't think of your to-do list. You literally lie down and close your eyes right away. And then you just lay there. And I think people are so distracted sometimes that they don't realize that that's what it takes to really just shut it off, and that you get up when that 15 minutes comes on. You don't lay there any longer. Even though you might want to, you don't. I'm like, that's the trick.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's great. I think that's a huge point too, because you can lay down and then you're just immediately like you're, I call it monkey mind, like all the thoughts just like ricocheting and bouncing around in your head. So, and that's actually a skill, I think, for people to be able to do that. And it does take a little bit of time to be able to, just be able to be like, just exist
absolutely
and be. Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's another part of aging that people sometimes just don't even really think that much about is how important sleep is. Sleep is really important to me. Going to bed, pretty much the same time every night, waking up pretty much the same time every morning, and getting my little 15-minute power nap are all really important parts of my day anymore. Even if I go to sleep like half an hour later than usual, I feel it the next day. I feel like we really need that sleep, and people end up, taking sleeping pills and whatnot, which I understand, but I think sometimes it's really training yourself to be on that routine that's really helpful,
Mm-hmm. Yes, routine is definitely a key when it comes to sleep. And then also kind of heading into, for women, especially in our midlife years, heading into that perimenopause and menopause, there tends to be sleep disruption. So if you already have that established routine, I think that's definitely something that can help kind of mitigate some of that disruption that naturally happens in midlife for women.
Yeah. Well, all my friends know that if they want someone to go to like a concert where you're going to be out late or something where they're going to be out late, I'm not the one they call for that. Somebody gave me a kitchen, my best friend gave me a kitchen towel, and it says something like, I'm like wild and crazy until about 9 p.m. or so.
Love it.
It's like totally me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it. So what do you think is the biggest challenge that you're facing right now with respect to being fit and flourishing? And how are you taking that on and tackling it?
So I think that some of the things that I find is one thing that I already mentioned, which is I do feel low energy a lot. I mean, it's like if you think I'm energetic now, you should have seen me in my 20s. I was probably super annoyingly energetic to other people. I mean, I would wake up just jumping out of bed, like ready to start my day. And that's not how it looks anymore. I wake up and I'm kind of still tired always, and that annoys me. So, I still, of course, get up though. And then I find that if I, my injuries are taking a long time to heal, that is a big issue for me. So, because I am pretty athletic, um, I do, fall down off my mountain bike once in a while. And a few weeks ago, I fell and I just caught myself with my left hand as I fell to the side. And that would normally be no big deal. Well, my darn wrist has taken so long to heal. It didn't break, or it wasn't anything. It never swelled up or anything, but man, it's been painful, which affected going to yoga, which affected, all the things that I like to do for fitness. And so it's taking a long time to heal. I am experiencing plantar fasciitis in my right heel that will not go away. In fact, just keeps getting worse. So I'm having to address that more and more. And I'm kind of spoiled because I haven't had to do much doctor visits throughout my life. And so because I have to go and follow up and get other opinions on certain things, it's like annoying to me because I'm not used to doing that. And I'm realizing that I really need to stay on top of it. I don't want things to get worse. I don't want things to, impede my life moving forward. So I just feel like minor injuries are more of a problem and just don't seem to want to heal very quickly. So that's one of the biggest issues, I would say. But otherwise, I feel like there aren't too many other barriers. I'm very shocked at how much you can still do as you get older. Like, I don't know why when I was younger, I thought, when I got to my age now that I wouldn't be doing as much. And I mean, I'm doing as much as I was doing then. So I think that's a really cool part of life that is that I didn't know about.
Yeah, I think you're kind of hitting on like, maybe your body well, and you know what it's taking to heal. And if it's taking a little bit longer, you're able to honor that a little bit more than saying, I don't know if this was you. I also taught like aerobics back in the day, and I would just get injured and I would just push through it, and then I would be miserable and it would go on. And nowadays, if I do that, I'm like, nope. I know I'm going to be debilitated if I don't address this sooner than later. So kind of having that wisdom and giving yourself again that permission and having those boundaries to be like, okay, I have to prioritize, this recovery. I have to prioritize this healing when it needs to happen.
Definitely. Yeah. One thing I just thought of too that I feel like is important within all of this to mention is that my partner is also so supportive. So he and I, since we've been together, really honor what each other needs to be happy in our lives. We both enjoy all these sports, and having kids together and moving through life together. There would be times when I'm just having a rough day, and he wants to go for a bike ride. Well, only one of us can go because of the kids when they're younger, and he would say, "Go for a bike ride. You should go and do something for yourself." And sometimes the same, like he would come home from work, and I would say to him, take care of whatever you need. Like, we really have always honored each other in that way. And it's never like a tit for a tat. So, oh, well, you've gone more than me, so, I need to go, or whatever it is. We always just sort of check in and like who needs it the most. And it's not like a, bad thing if some person's getting it a little bit more. It's like, no, we need to make sure we find that balance. And I feel like that's really important in our relationships, so I feel like that's worth bringing up because there is a lot going on in my life with having a family. We have had to really do that dance since the beginning, since our kids were born. Before kids, we just could do whatever we wanted. But yeah, that's a big part of it, which has allowed me to never fall out of shape either, and to never spiral too far to where it was hard to go back to taking good care of myself.
Mm-hmm. I'm hearing that communication. So, and that support within the, your most intimate circle of people that you are able to count on and have accountability to and for, but also kind of that communication piece of like, this is what I need right now, or even just being able to know somebody well enough to where they recognize that need in you. Like that is such an amazing, ability to have that in your life. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely just coined it so well. And, my sports usually involve doing it with a friend. I mean, not always, sometimes I'm by myself, but I have a lot of friends who enjoyed the same sports as me. So then not only am I getting the exercise piece, but I'm getting the part of being with my closest friends because we all sort of enjoy doing the same thing. So it's funny, like on the mountain bike trail, my best friend and I will just be talking the whole entire time. Like my lungs are pretty good because not only do I bike ride, but I also talk while I'm bike riding. So the typical like coffee shop talk usually takes place on the bike.
Awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, there's that piece too, go for a bike ride, go with your friends, have fun. And then I usually come back in such a better place,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love kind of that, killing two birds with one stone there. Like you're getting your social interaction, you're connecting, you're with your friends, you have a community of friends that you're able to, go and do these things that you really enjoy for yourself, but you're doing it with them as well. That's fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you were to kind of go back, because we've talked about, like what we were doing in our 20s a little bit. If you could go back and give your 20-year-old self, like one piece of advice that you think it would be just like, super important to know now, what would it be?
That is such an easy thing for me to answer because I look back and I just really do wish I could tell my 20-year-old self to look in the mirror and honor my body. Man, that was completely the opposite. Back then I was looking in the mirror and going, I mean, this is just so awful. Like I would never say this to anybody else, but I look in the mirror and go, who is ever going to want to be with you? Like your body is not the ideal body. And, that was not true, but that was what we were taught back then, and, I feel for everybody who didn't look like the magazine covers because that's most people. Most people don't look like the magazine covers, and everybody was comparing themselves to that person and thinking, I don't look like that. So either what does it take to look like that and then doing the wrong things, or just feeling so bad about themselves and wasting time not honoring how beautiful they really are, And so, so that's what I would tell myself is you absolutely are who you're supposed to be. You are beautiful. You are healthy and fit, and that you are a good person, and all those things combined, you're exactly who you should be. And to stop spending so much time being disappointed in who you think you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is incredibly powerful. Yes. If we could have gone back and said that to ourselves and really just said, this is important to know now that things would be, I think for a lot of people, like their midlife would be different. I think it's also important in midlife to be able to sit down with your current self and say that it's like, I am whole where I am, honoring where you are, like honoring all the things your body has done over all the years and the decades to get you to this place. And not like looking in the mirror and being like, oh, well, I don't like that anymore. Or like, oh my gosh, where did that come from?
Right.
So yeah, being able to just being able to really have that love for yourself and everything that you're able to do at the.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think my confidence would have been better all around then if that would have been more of my thoughts, consuming my mind.
Mm-hmm. That is so powerful. So powerful. So lots of good stuff here for people to kind of just great takeaways here. So what's one thing that you would wish that I had asked you, and how would you have answered that?
Yeah, I think that the one most powerful thing that I constantly sort of think about this at this point in my life is what gives me the most purpose in my life, Um, as a wellness coach, I feel like that's one of the questions I love asking other people is what gives you the most purpose? And in saying that, don't answer in what you think people want to hear. Like truly what gives you the most purpose, And of course, it's not one quick and easy answer, but just to try and make it sort of quick, I would say that my answer to that is number one, I just really appreciate the beauty of the world. Like I wake up every day and I'm like, holy cow, it is beautiful outside, And it's not, I know we're living in a really strange, crazy time in the world. So I feel like I'm insulated from a lot of that because I live in an area where I have nature right outside. So that's very privileged for me to be able to live that way. And so I can look outside and just see. I mean, I literally go like the birds are amazing. We have wildlife in our backyard, like we have deer that come in our backyard. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're amazing. Just, I don't know. I just really appreciate that. And then also my career gives me an immense amount of purpose. I feel like, I really feel lucky that I honed my career in the recent years on what makes me feel like I'm contributing to the world, not like what's going to make me the most money or anything like that. It's like, this is a really important field. So there's that. And then I say the last part of that purpose for me is training my kids in a very subtle way, because of course teenagers don't want to listen to their parents. So I don't outright say these things. I imply them that I want them to deeply care about themselves and honor and respect themselves. And I want them to also really deeply care about others and realize that there's such beauty in every person's story. And so I want them to, like, when they leave the house and they go out into the world and they go off to college or whatever they decide to do, I want them to really respect other humans and where they come from and what they bring, because I feel like a lot of young people now are very selfish, and you are supposed to be kind of selfish, but in being, I want them to be more like honoring of people's backgrounds and curious about their life story and where they come from. And I feel like if everybody sort of does that, then there won't be so much, disappointment in other people or hate, because I feel like people are quick to judge without realizing people come from all these different backgrounds. So I feel like I want my kids, like, it's really important and purposeful for me to like raise these humans that really honor the world in a deep place so that they can, make the world a little better too. And hopefully that trickles. And so all those things, I know that's very deep, but it is like when it comes to like my purpose, those are like my three purposes in life.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So, being able to appreciate the world that we're in, it's challenging, but it is a worthy pursuit, really. And then I love the, just being able to, like, instill like what you know and what you hope, the values that you think is going to make, the world a better place for the people that you work with and for your family is phenomenal.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like it's, everything else is just, everything else is kind of, whatever. Those are things I feel like are the most important for me. And I'm really thinking about them a lot, at this point in my life.
Yeah, I think that, I think as soon as we get to kind of, and I'm at a certain age, like midlife, you start thinking about that a little bit more. You're thinking a little bit less about like, how am I going to climb up the corporate ladder or whatever ladder you're choosing to career ladder, or, how am I going to do A, B, C, whatever it is. And you start thinking about kind of the bigger picture, the world at large, which I am loving that part of this, journey in life, being able to do that. And so being able to embody that and you living that very strongly and being very clear about it is amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. Like I said, my kids don't know that that's what I'm doing. They, I just like when we're stuck in the car one-on-one is when I try and give my little bits of wisdom or my hope, and hope that it starts to sink in for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It sounds like you're living that way and you're embodying that. So I think that is, I don't know. I found out like things that now that I see my daughter doing, or like she really, it's not that I told her, it's just, she kind of like saw that's how I related, or like our family related, or extended family, things like that. And so it was just kind of gets absorbed, which is for teenagers sometimes really the best way to do it.
Right. Definitely. I have learned my lesson with point blank saying something, you should do this and you should do that. Then they do the opposite, right?
The challenges of teenagers and even young adults at this point. Yeah. So fantastic. So it's been such a pleasure to talk with you. Where can listeners find you online if they're interested in learning more about you or following you?
Sure. I think probably the best place is LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn as Lori LeGault, and it's LeGault. People misspell my name a lot. The A and the U always get reversed. People are like, I can't find you. And there is another Lori LeGault out there, actually, who spells her name the exact same as me, both first and last name. But you'll see me on LinkedIn. And I'm on there as a wellness specialist. And so that's probably the number one place for people to get in touch with me.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, it has been a real pleasure to talk with you today. Thank you so much for being here and sharing so much and really sharing like really important information that I think anybody in any stage of life really could take away and use it to their own advantage in their own journey for being fit and flourishing, but especially for people here in midlife.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me, Lisa. It was really a pleasure. I enjoyed it.
If this episode has been helpful to you, I'd love to hear from you. If there's a topic you'd like to hear more about, send it my way. Email me at lisa@lisadupreecoaching.com or connect with me on Instagram at Lisa DuPree Coaching. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.